Hey guys, it's Bex here, and I'm here with two very good friends of mine, and of yours too by now, Mike Perrine from Everyday Detox and Quentin Venny from QuentinVenny.com. Today, we are going to start off by talking about how to make real change in your life, and if it's necessary to hit a rock bottom before you can move toward your top. You had a really good phrase for it. What was?
Well, I stole that from Tony Robbins. So I was listening to a video of his once talking about, and I realized that this was part of a lot of the work that I do. People tend to be in a state of desire all the time.
Right.
So they want things, like they want that body or that money or that relationship or something like that. And but most people don't get to a state of must until they hit something that forces them into that. Okay, so rock bottom might be that. That's what it was for me. I find rock bottom to be a very powerful tool. When in the work that I do, like the physical work that I do, I see a lot of people get into it when it's much more challenging. People want that state of health, and then that state of disease sets in, and then all of a sudden they're in a must state. Then like, oh, now I have to juice fast. I have to do all this body work. I have to, like, now everything's going to change. It's going to change tomorrow. We're ready to go.
But then isn't that bad? Do they actually have change when they do that? When they get to that point where they're like, I have to do the juice fast, and it's so desperate?
Sometimes they're successful, sometimes they're not, but a lot of the times it's a very powerful catalyst to get them to move into it. Look at Chris Carr.
Essentially with me, I had to hit rock bottom in order to get to the place that I am today. I mean, I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety and panic disorder and endured a 2-year addiction to medication, as well as survived an accidental overdose, in addition to contemplating suicide on multiple occasions. You know, I had to completely lose sight of life in order for me to find a reason to want to maintain it. And, hitting the bottom, so many people dread it, but I think it's necessary in order to, find the inner strength needed to move beyond these perceived barriers and kind of hit that next level.
See, I had a negative experience, and it's funny because we have these conversations. So you're raw food vegan, 20 plus years at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're pretty strict in your lifestyle. You're juicing every day, you eat a very clean diet. And I have this more middle of the road approach. And while I've had a lot of very low lows in my life, I don't think that the biggest changes that I've made have come out of those lows. I think that they were teachers, but it's in the times of extreme high, when I'm feeling really good, when I'm feeling very self-aware, when I'm feeling a tremendous sense of self-love and awareness for, the gift that I've been given and a duty to serve. That's when I feel most compelled to make big changes. It wasn't from a low low. It sucked, but I felt more stuck there. I didn't feel like good stuff was coming out of there. So do you think that's maybe why I have a more moderate approach to life?
Well, I don't think there's any right and wrong. I mean, we get motivation from all the different places, right? So somebody else's bottom is different than another person's bottom. I was never in the gutter, completely homeless, addicted to heroin.
Right.
But people have come up tremendously from there. For another person, it may have just been, I have a friend that recently had an injury, and he's so humbled by it and really is checking himself because his whole family life is now, his wife is mad at him about it because it was an injury that he could have avoided, and he's like, wait, now I can't. He had just had a lapse in his insurance, and he was so he's now the whole family's there's a lot of issues, and he's really showing up big to that. He's not in the gutter doing using drugs, but just that little thing happened, and all of a sudden the stability of the family is in jeopardy, and he's just like, whoa. And that was like a bottom for him. And now all of a sudden he's really rethinking his whole life, and he's rising up to something new, and he's getting in a state of must now. It's not just desire, I want a better life. He's like, no, I have to set this up now. I have to really take charge now. That was his bottom.
So I want you guys to watch the whole video because we have more to say, but right now in the comments below, I want you to tell us the biggest change that's happened in your life. Has it come from a place of despair, desperation, or was it something good that created, you were inspired by something really good and you wanted to create that change in your life? And for the people that don't want to get to the bottom, so we have the desire, right? And I'm sure you get letters every single day from people saying they want to change, they want to learn how to juice or whatever. Mm-hmm. Not desperate, just I want this change because I saw it looked cool. I want to fit into a bikini, whatever. Is there a way to teach people how to be motivated towards the thing that they want without having to hit that rock bottom? Because I don't want to get to a bad place before I have a big change in my life again.
Absolutely. Raise your standards. When we raise our standards, then, and I don't know how we got on the...
That just hit me so hard. I feel like I need to breathe a little bit.
We started using the word bottom, which I didn't like, but like when you raise your standards, the things that were once acceptable are no longer acceptable to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So raising standards is huge.
I love that, because before we were shooting this video, I was talking about some struggles that I was going through in my life, and it was a lot about boundaries. And I think maybe what I was really talking about were standards and not boundaries. Because I was talking about friendships and how I'm showing up in the world and how I'm judging myself and like all this other stuff, and why I have all this emotional turmoil around it. It's not about boundaries. I know what's right and wrong. I know what I want to do and what I don't want to do, but I'm not raising the standards of who I want to hang out with, who I want to be, the kind of work that I want to do, who I want to work with. I haven't done that. And if I say this is my bottom line, maybe this is a new bottom. It doesn't have to be some crazy ass, desperate rock bottom. This is the lowest that I'm going to go. Then I can build up from that place instead of the old low, which was like not a place that I want to return to.
Mm-hmm. Bottom doesn't necessarily have to be a negative thing. Bottom can essentially just be your starting point, and whatever you're experiencing in that particular moment, that's causing you to want or desire something more. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that we look at as a negative thing. I have a friend who's a photographer. He was working for corporate America, doing photography on the side, and he was very successful in his career. There was no quote unquote bottom for him, but he felt like he had hit a pinnacle in corporate America and wanted to make a shift into pretty much determining his own future and his own destiny. Mm-hmm. And he quit his job in corporate America. He was doing great. He had great benefits, great salary, kids taken care of, going to private schools, the whole thing. And it wasn't a negative thing that happened to him that caused him to want more. So it's just like operating out of where you are currently and using that experience to kind of funnel you into where you want to be.
That is so good. I love that. I love raising standards, seeing your right now as the bottom, as a jumping off point, not a negative bottom. It's like, okay, so where you are right now, this is the jump off. This is as low as that you need to be. It's okay that like times get rough. We talked about this. I still have anxiety. You still experience anxiety sometimes. You still have bad days. It's that those are okay. Those can be teachers. Those don't have to throw us off. We can still continue to move forward. It isn't messing up the journey or the mission, and just raising the standards of what we want for ourselves. Okay, so this is the second comment that I want you guys to leave. What have you been tolerating? What have you been putting up with, dealing with in your life right now that if you raised your standards, if you changed the way that you were dealing in that circumstance, that your life would become so much better, easier, happier, you'd be moving towards success, you'd become unstuck? Put that in the comments below. Thank you guys. I think we're going to do another one of these because I really like it and I'm feeling in my groove now. And I will see you very soon in another BEXLIFE video.
Absolutely. Raise your standards.
Look at you dropping this stuff. Every once in a while I'll just drop something and I'm like, I gotta tweet that.
When we raise our standards.